Yo, what's up, guys? Wow. What an absolutely abysmal basketball game this was. I don't even know if you want to call it a basketball game. We could probably call it a practice or a scrimmage, but my God, the Toronto Raptors tonight were absolutely horrendous, guys. For four bloody quarters tonight, getting their asses handed tonight by the Phoenix Suns, guys. Losing to them 120, guys, to 98, Just an absolutely disastrous game tonight for the Raptors, guys. Obviously, the Raptors had that tough loss the other night to the Denver Nuggets. Of course, Raptors had some really solid games before they lost to the Nuggets. You beat Phoenix, obviously, after coming back in the fourth quarter. You beat the Detroit Pistons, who were first in the East. You had slapped the Chicago Bulls around. You had a hard-fought loss against the Nuggets that you should have won, actually. Up by 9 going into the fourth. You blow the lead, unfortunately, because the Nuggets obviously have some great players, obviously. But in tonight's game, the Raptors absolutely no-showed, guys. Phoenix, on a second night of a back-to-back, losing to Milwaukee last night after blowing a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter. Phoenix looked like the team today who had the day off instead of the Raptors, because Phoenix came with a lot of energy starting this game today. Had energy the entire game. The Raptors, they looked like they were on the second night of a back-to-back today, guys. It was absolutely pathetic from start to finish. You just knew within the first couple minutes of this game, you knew it was going to be all light. Phoenix starts on an 8-0 run. The Raptors come up flat on offense, turn the ball over a little bit. You see Brandon Ingram not starting off the game well, missing some shots, turning the ball over at times. The entire start of that first quarter was some worrying signs in this game. The Suns were shooting the three really well. They were shooting at an unmissable clip. They were incredibly shooting with great efficiency in the first quarter, guys. The entire game they shot with great efficiency, the Phoenix Suns. But the Raptors, they had nothing for Phoenix. They had no answer for them. Defensively, the Raptors broke down. Offensively, they were missing wide open shots, just missing shots in general, turning the basketball over, not making the right plays offensively, collapsing way too many times defensively, leaving Phoenix wide open for three-pointers and nailing the majority of the time in this game today. There were too many times today, guys, where I just said to myself, that's unacceptable, that's unacceptable. You need to be communicating better. You need to be moving the basketball better. You need to be closing out better. So many times where I see to myself, Phoenix was the team, fighting for every loose rebound, being more physical. The Raptors couldn't match the physicality of the Suns in this game. The Raptors did a great job less than a week ago against Phoenix at home. B.I. had 36 points. He was incredible in that game. And then tonight, he was absolutely invisible. Phoenix did good things defensively on him, sure, but B.I., man, too many times tonight. He turned the ball over a lot. He was flat offensively, had no bloody energy tonight. It was like, what the hell was going on with him in the entirety of this team, But the Raptors did a good job, clawing it back to 6. Jacoby Walter, who had a really solid first half, making some three-pointers. Scotty was having a solid first half as well. He had 13 points at half, guys. Those two there made some great defensive plays, and Jacoby was making shots. Scotty was doing some good things as well. And then Coach Darko Rajakovic decides, now that we cut it back down to 6, I'm taking up Scotty and Jacoby Walter. I'm bringing back Brandon Ingram. And then Phoenix was able to go on a run themselves and put it back up to 13 points. And then that was curtains for the Raptors. That was a really bad decision by Coach Darko Rajakovic to take out Scotty and Jacoby when we had cut it down to 6. He should have never taken them out of the game there. He should have let them continue to play. I would have played them all the way till halftime, to be honest, for God's sakes, because they were both playing really well. They were the only two effective Raptors in this game today, guys. At the start of the first half, Mama was missing shots. Jamal Shead had 3 freaking fouls in the first quarter. I'm like, Jamal Shead as well, he's becoming a major liability offensively. I knew we got a guy like Markelle Fultz, was obviously a former first overall pick playing in the G League right now, averaging close to 15 points a game, shooting over 45%, guys. So, Jamal Shead better be careful, because Markelle Fultz, he's around, okay? He's weaving around the grass there, guys. So I'm telling you guys right now, Jamal Shead does not pick it up offensively. I'm telling you guys now, Markelle Fultz might come in and start taking this guy's minutes. It's not a guaranteed, of course. Jacoby Walter's earned a lot more minutes, maybe in more minutes than RJ Barrett, because Jacoby Walter is more reliable defensively than RJ. When you have B.I. and you have RJ and Chet on the floor, RJ and B.I. are a liability defensively, and Jamal Shead's a liability offensively. So you're asking for trouble when you got those three on the floor together, and Coach Darko continues to play with fire multiple times in the year, guys, and makes questionable decisions, of course, like I said about taking out Jacoby and Scotty. There were too many times in this game today where I just shaking my head saying to myself, this is Raptors basketball that cannot be acceptable in the playoffs. You will get absolutely your asses handed to you in the playoffs, guys. And like I've been saying in past videos, if the Raptors do not get themselves a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference, I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. Like, look at Charlotte, how they're playing. Philly's coming up strong. Obviously Atlanta's been playing some great ball. They're right behind the Raptors, breathing down their neck. Obviously Orlando and Miami, of course, have taken a little bit of a blimp, of course, having a couple losing streaks. But at the same time, though, Atlanta's playing some great ball right now. They've won 12 of the last 13 games, and they didn't play tonight. But this Raptors team is playing with bloody fire tonight. You reverted back to what you were doing before DeJounte Murray got in Jamal Shedd's face. What, after 3 games, you revert back to normal now? I've already seen that with one team this year in this city. I don't need to see it with another bloody team, guys. The Raptors, unfortunately, they didn't match the physicality of Phoenix. They couldn't match them in the shooting, guys. They couldn't match them in anything. Tempo, nothing. Fast breaks, nothing. It was pretty ugly this entire game. Nobody even played in the fourth quarter. The game was done by mid-third quarter. It was up by 31 at one point. It was pathetic. Like, look at these numbers. Scotty had 13, like I mentioned. B.I. had 2 points on 1 of 7 shooting. He was absolutely putrid today. He ruined everything when he came back into the game when they went on that 12-0 run. He turned the ball over just so many times today where I was really mad with B.I. today, guys. Jakob Poeltl had no points in this game today. Like, God almighty, man. You got to be quite invisible to not have any points in a bloody game today. So Jakob Poeltl, this guy's going to be making close to $30 million a year. Not having any points in a game, that is very worrying to say the least. Even though Yak has played some great games as of late, my God, that is not a good sign to have 0 points in a bloody NBA game, guys. Then Emmanuel Quickley having 9 points in the first half, guys. Not a horrible half for him, but my God, the shots he takes are questionable. His decision making is questionable. A lot of the things he does is very questionable. He gives up his dribble a lot, and then he completely gets himself into no man's land. Either has to jack up a shot, and completely airball it, or force a turnover, making a bad pass there, forcing a pass and causing a turnover. There are many things that Quickley does that drives me nuts, of course. The fast break pull-up threes, that drives me nuts. His breakdowns defensively at times, he really frustrates me, Emmanuel Quickley, sometimes this season. Tonight was just another example of how frustrating he was tonight, guys. RJ had 7 at half. Jacoby had 11. Mamu only had 2 on 1 of 6 shooting. Mamu couldn't make a bloody shot today, guys. Jamison Battle had 2 points on a great pass by Scotty Barnes today, guys. But other than that, it was lights out for the Raptors at halftime, guys. You had Green with 10 at half. Gillespie with 11. Booker had 12. Obviously, he added more in the second half, guys. Those 3 guys there were leading the Raptors, leading the Suns, guys, in points. Phoenix was shooting 58% from bloody 3. 11 of 19 from 3. Like, holy bloody shit. They were not missing. Like, it was incredible to me how many shots the Suns were making. Then you get the Raptors 5 of 15 from 3, guys. Just not good enough. 49% from the field for the Raptors. Phoenix shoots 64% there, guys. Phoenix had 23 rebounds compared to the 19 for the Raptors at half there, guys. There are just so many glaring things today that you could say to yourself, man, oh man, the Raptors they just gave up in this game today. They just gave up. Scotty finishes off with 17, barely played today. I think I saw Garrett Temple play the most minutes he's played all year in one bloody quarter today, guys. Like, holy shit, honestly, Garrett Temple played 7 bloody minutes today. So most I've seen Garrett Temple play in a long freaking time. And then Grady Dick had 10 because he played garbage minutes. Like, there was just so many guys who were non-existent today in this game. You're getting down to the stretch of the NBA season. You only got 12 games left to go, and teams are starting to peak and play well. We thought the Raptors turned a corner, after the Murray situation, like I mentioned. playing against Phoenix well and Detroit, of course, smacking the Bulls around, even though they lost to Denver, like I mentioned, they put up a valiant effort, and then you go lay a dud like this. It's just, it worries us fans that just show us and we say to ourselves, this Raptors team just shows way too much inconsistency to be a good basketball team. They're just way too inconsistent at times. The level of play of theirs, it's so good at times, and then sometimes it's just so bad. You just say to yourself, is this team even a playoff team? Like, I've said this before in the past, guys, but it's just unacceptable to me to watch a Raptors team operate like this, in certain games like this, when teams are breathing down your neck, trying to get for that fifth playoff spot, and you put in games like this, like, it's not good enough. Brandon Ingram finishes up with 6 points, like, that's atrocious. 3 of 10 shooting, if this guy isn't scoring, he's a liability defensively and a liability everywhere else. So when this guy here has the shooting nights he does, the Raptors are in big bloody trouble. Same with Quickly as well, guys. 4 of 9, obviously that's not horrible, but not great either, but he hurts this team a lot more than he does help them sometimes, Emmanuel Quickly. RJ does the same thing, hurts this team defensively a lot. Sure, RJ helps them offensively, but you got to play on both sides of the floor, and RJ doesn't do that sometimes. Jacoby Walter has earned more minutes as of late, if you ask me. His shots improved, his defense has been solid. Jacoby's been playing great, but he doesn't get enough touches on offense, and doesn't get enough minutes, like, it's incredible to me, and that's got to come down to Coach Darko Rajakovic, guys, and then you got guys like Booker with 25, you had Green with 20, Gillespie with 16. Those guys didn't even play in the fourth quarter. The game was a wrap, like I mentioned, guys. Phoenix finishes off the game shooting 52%, 45% from 3. Raptors shoot 50% from the field, 33% from 3. It didn't really matter how good these guys shot. They just missed too many shots, turned the ball over, guys. 20 turnovers tonight for the Raptors. Like, even though Phoenix had 19, Phoenix was able to take advantage of the turnovers, guys. They had 23 points on turnovers. Sure, the Raptors had 24 points on turnovers, but Phoenix was just taking advantage of their possessions, making all their shots, finding a way to break down the Raptors defensively. You're watching Devin Booker get to his spot with ease. It didn't matter what he did. Get to the 3, drive the lane, find his mid-range shot. It didn't matter what Devin Booker did tonight, guys. He was making his shots and doing what he wanted to tonight. He was running rampant on the Raptors tonight, guys. 48 points in the paint for the Raptors. Phoenix had 40, guys. And the assist Raptors had 28 compared to Phoenix's 24. But at the end there, guys, Phoenix was just shooting the ball incredibly well. They were just a way better team tonight from start to finish. Raptors didn't lead one time in this game today, guys. It's very concerning watching the Raptors have these mental lapses defensively, have these lulls offensively like they do. The miscommunication sometimes, the questionable decisions Coach Darko makes with subbing out guys, not playing guys enough. There's a lot of worrying signs, and the NBA season's coming to an end. The regular season's coming to an end now. The playoffs are right around the corner. The play-in's obviously right around the corner as well. Things are super, super tight right now. You got to play Utah tomorrow night, second night of a back-to-back. I hope to God the Raptors have the energy that Phoenix had tonight like they did, on the second night of a back-to-back. Because if the Raptors play like they did tonight, again tomorrow, oh, man, things are going to get very tense very, very quickly for this Raptors team, guys. This was a very disgusting performance tonight. The league got up to 31 at one point. This game was already done, guys, by halftime. You knew it was a wash, You could just see the way the game was going, the way the Raptors were playing, the way they started out the game, how flat they were in general. It was extremely, extremely disheartening to watch this Raptors team play tonight, because this is sometimes what they're capable of, having a shit show like they did tonight. Sometimes they play some great games like they did against the Pistons, but then you have games like tonight. It's just not a sign of a good NBA team, a strong NBA team, a team that is playoff ready, a team that knows that they compete in the playoffs, are licking their chops seeing the Raptors, hoping that they play us in the first round, knowing they're saying, this Raptors team here are very inconsistent. If we could just beat them in their weaknesses, this will be a sweep or a 5-gamer, guys. So, listen, Bobby Webster, Raptors organization as a whole, they got a lot of shit to work on this offseason for sure. This team is not a finished product yet. Got a long way to go still before we can hang up one of these banners up again at Scotiabank Arena, because the way this team is operating, The way this team is built right now, there's just too many holes, too many deficiencies in this lineup, guys. It's just very frustrating how this game panned out tonight, guys. I'm very concerned for the rest of the regular season, guys. If this team does fall into a play-in, I am not liking this team chances, guys, of making the playoffs. But listen, we got a game against Utah tomorrow night. Should be a very interesting game. Raptors need to come out strong in this game tonight. Really bad game tonight for the Raptors from everybody from start to finish, guys. One of those games you just want to wipe away and never remember again, of course. But man, oh man, this team here really needs a kick in the ass once again to wake them up and saying, we are 12 games away from the playoffs. Do not throw it all out the window after the season you guys have been having, having a pretty good season. Obviously having some shortcomings, some inconsistencies. But this team here could throw it all out the window if they'd fall into a play-in and then don't make the playoffs. It would be a catastrophe for this franchise, guys, if that were to happen. Oh, I hope to God it doesn't. But if it does, maybe it is a wake-up call for upper management, especially Bobby Webster, to stop cutting bloody corners and start finding some really good dogs to join this team and make this team a better team, guys. But listen, really putrid game tonight for the Raptors, guys. We'll love to your guys' thoughts and opinions on this one tonight, guys. So glad you like this video. Subscribe if you guys want to see more content. Go Raptors, go as always, guys. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Raptors Unfiltered. Ciao, guys.